Hello everybody, Gisele Grenier here. It's a hot one today, so I thought I would celebrate by making myself a faux drink. This piece is inspired by the Goombay Bar at Wyndham Hotels in Freeport, and they made me the most amazing drink, low in sugar, so I thought I would celebrate them. And I thought I'd just do this simple with a collage, and I picked this up on Free Pick. I'm going to put the link to where you can get this free image in the description below. I'm going to be using the Strathmore Vision watercolor paper. It's 140 pound, nice and thick. So this is obviously going to be a study to see how it works out. And when printing this, I had to use Illustrator to resize it. So if you don't have Illustrator, I think you can use PicMonkey to resize these files. It does come available as a JPEG and an EPS. I used the EPS and I stretched it, then I cut it, and then I used a waterproof marker and I just outlined the edges where there was white. There's a spot here and I just colored the edge. Takes care of that. Any waterproof marker. So I've got that. Now for the supplies, what I'm going to try to do is create this paneling that was in the bar, and no, not in the bar. Was it in the bar or was it in the lobby? Anyways, it was like this old it looked like a pallet, like one of those shipping pallets, but it had some beautiful tints to it, and there was some sand on it, so I thought I would give that a try. Then I'm going to stencil some leaves on the side. So I picked up this one here. This is called Tropical. It's the DecoArt Americana Decor Stencil, and I'm going to pick out these leaves here. I would love to have done something with the pineapple, but there's not enough room, so I'm going to use these leaves here, and they're really nice. Okay, so I'm going to use that. And for the paint, what I think I'm going to use, so I'm going to prime the paper with the DecoArt Chalky Gesso white, and I've got it in a small tube here because it's easier to manage. And then for the paints, I may pull out some DecoArt Medium Fluid Acrylics. I'm not sure yet how I want the color to go on this, but to start I'm going to use a DecoArt Vintage Effect Wash white, turquoise, gray, black, and then the Texture Sand medium. And then to collage I'm going to use a DecoArt Media Matte medium. And to draw the lines for the paneling, I'm going to use one of their DecoArt texture tools. So I'll put that over there. All right. And to stencil, I'm going to use their stencil brush, nice and flat. And I'm going to try these. I just got these. They're American Decor 2-inch flat brushes. I'm going to give these a try. They're nice and fluffy. All the brushes I have, they're short-handled, and they're the maximum, like they're about this wide. But the really wide brushes I have are long handled for oil painting, and I can't use those in acrylics. So I thought I would try this just to speed up the gesso time. To speed that up. Alright, so let's pop some gesso on the palette paper. Let me move that out of the way. And when a dry brush. Oh, this is nice. Bristles are a bit soft for what I want to do, but that's not the purpose of this brush. It's more for the Americana Decor paints, but it is working a little bit faster. All right, so with this piece, oops, some dry gesso. So with this piece, I'm going to be cutting it down smaller. I may actually even put it into my I'm going to put a little bit of water in there. My kitchen journal, which is just anything that you can put in your mouth, food, drinks, whatever. So I may put it in there as an add-on. So it'll be, if that's what I do, I'll do a video on that, how to add an external page into an existing journal. And doing the gesso on watercolor paper just helps prime the paper, gives it some strength. I hope you're not hearing whooshing from the movement of the brush. The microphone is right there. It's my attempt on making sure that I record. I keep forgetting to record. But the gesso primes the paper, makes it nice and strong, and creates a barrier so the liquid paint doesn't soak into the paper, making it, taking a really long time to dry. Okay, so I'm going to put that Anyway, so I'm going to stand this stuff up. And I like using the paint on the side because from my angle, I see this. I don't care about labels. I see this here. So if you didn't have the Vintage Effect wash, you could take, let's say for the black, you could take the DecoArt Media Fluid Acrylics, carbon black, and just thin it down with a little bit of water. And you would have to use a matte finish to varnish to give it that real soft look. The gray, just take the black with some white. The turquoise, you could use, let's say, the cobalt teal hue for the fluid acrylics and add a little bit of white to it to make it a bit more opaque if need be. And the white, obviously the white. And you could use a credit card for this as well. But I really like the look of these Vintage Effect paints. Now I'm just going to speed up the drying time for a sec. When you use water in your brush, the gesso becomes a bit thinner, so it takes a little bit longer to dry, and your paper will then curl. That's why I like applying the gesso on dry. But always follow the directions on your for your paint product, just to make sure that you're using it in the right way, especially for finished pieces. So I'm just going to put on the Vintage Effect Wash White. And I'm just going to rinse out the brush, blot it, and then just apply this. I'm loving this brush. It's making everything so fast. Yay! Faster videos, smaller videos, shorter videos. Yay! Okay. Oh, I even put the right amount on. There we go. And just, this would have been a good varnish brush too, because with varnishing you want to minimize brush strokes and you want to get the varnish on in as little strokes as possible. Okay, love that. I'm gonna rinse that brush again. Now the brushes are made of, I think they're made of wood, so you can't leave them in water, otherwise it'll splinter. Okay, so I'm going to let this dry, and then I'm going to, when we come back, then I'm going to, the whole piece has to be done first, then the collaging of this is at the very end. I'm going to put out some of the DecoArt Americana Texture Sand Medium. Not going to use a lot. And I'm going to add in, okay, I'm going to add in the gray and then a touch of the black. Just a little bit. Oops. Just a little bit. I have a nasty habit of popping open the tops while I'm shaking. It makes such a mess. Bad me. Gonna mix that up. And I want it dark, obviously darker than that, because I'm gonna scrape on some white after. All right, so with this, because I want to stencil the corners, I don't want to stencil on top of sand. And I also obviously don't want to stencil on top of here. So where I'm looking at putting the sand is basically on the edges to look like that's where it got caught with the wind. And ideally, really, it's only the one side that really should have it, but, so I'm just going to, just like that. Whoops, not like that. Not like that. Let me get a clean paper towel. Actually, that's the effect I would like to get. Now, because I have to cut this down, I can go bigger on the piece because I'm going to cut it down. So get a feel for it, and then you can bring it in. Just don't use your good scissors to cut it down. And I'm going to stencil right here. The other thing too, if you wanted to make this look like metal, you could actually rust the edges. That's too much. I like this look. So I'm going to bring this down just a little bit more. There we go. I could go even more, just a little bit more, and fade that out. Now with the sand, it doesn't have to be left, right, or whatever, because it's sand. Okay, that's, and I can always sand that down. Get it, sand. I can always sand that down if it's too thick where I can't stencil. I like the thickness on the bottom though. Okay. Alright, let me just thin that out a little bit more. Like, not thin it out, just file it down. That's where I want to stencil. I can always add some more of this after the fact. Dry paper towel. So really what I'm doing is I'm just removing the excess. You know what? Wonder what it would look like if I took a baby wipe. Now mind you, baby wipes are wet. Come on. Get a paper towel. Squeeze the excess. Oops, that is really wet. Use a paper towel. That actually turns out quite nice. We're not going to need this part, but just to show you what different things that you can do. Makes it look really old, really worn. Don't be lazy like me. Always use a clean part of the paper towel. Otherwise, all you're doing is just smearing around the sand. I like that. I like that. Okay, this wasn't my intention, but I'm really liking this because it looks really old. Let's break some of this up. Again, we're not going to use this, but just to see what we can get. So what I'm liking is where it's thicker. And then when taking some of the pieces off, then it leaves an outline. I like that. I'll just put a little bit more on top, just for a little bit of extra texture. Because by the time I've gone back to this step now, it's dried, so it's grabbing, the stuff that I'm putting on top now is grabbing on those raised pieces, those little peaks. Yeah, I like that. So what I'm going to end up doing is when I cut it down, I'll then finish the edges off after the fact. But that's a nice effect. All right, so normally you let that dry, then go on to the next step. What I want to do first now is I want to again wipe off some of the excess on the corners, and then I want to start placing the stencil. So dry paper towel, and just make sure that this area right here, just in the corners, that. And my stencil. So I'm thinking I'm going to do something like that. Yeah, that'll work out nice. And for that, I'm going to turn this around because I don't want to waste that paint because I'm still going to need it. And I'm going to take, let me think, I'm going to take the Vintage Effect Wash Gray. Need more than that. And then I'm going to take the turquoise. I wish I would have gotten a green. Just want to tint that color just a little bit. Yeah, nice. A green would have been better. Let me add a drop, just a drop, of the DecoArt Medium Fluid Acrylics Phthalo Green Yellow. I want to shift that to a bit more of the green. Yeah, that worked. With the Vintage Effect wash, what I like is the slight transparency and its real matte finish. I really like that. That's pretty. Okay. Stencil brush, and I'm going to get the other stencils as well. So I'm going to start left to right. No, I'm going to start by moving all the paint out of the way. So I'm going to work this piece right here. I just want to get that there. So I'm going to tap in the paint, and then on a paper towel I'm just going to remove the excess. And I want to put just a slight hint of color. Now I don't like the idea of going over where the sand was, because that'll, you know, it's rough on the brushes, but I want to see what effect I get. That's not bad. I think I'm going to like this one better. Let's try that. Like a palm. See, what I have is I have some of the green that's in the glass as well to set it. Now, what you could also do as well is, if you really wanted to make it more flashy, is use metallic paint. You could also just outline with a pencil and then go back over it with a marker. Yes, nice. Okay. So I think what I'd like to do, this would have been ideal if I'd had another stencil. If I want to overlap, but I'm going to turn it on the back side. And I just have to wipe any excess paint off. Just wiping the excess paint off. And I'm just going to turn the stencil upside down, just to get a little bit in here. Just an even lighter. I didn't even load the brush. Okay, like that. That's pretty. Okay, so now where are we? Oh, which is the important part? Let's get more of that. Let's put that right there. Didn't reload the brush, using whatever's left in. And I just realized I forgot to put the lines down. Son of a gun. Ah. Okay, you know what? It may not matter, because I would have to, because this is transparent anyways. Shoot, I wasn't paying attention. Alright, let's do another one here. Now I'm going to load just the excess here. Okay, so I'm not going to edit the mistake out of the video because that way you'll see how it turns out and why. But ideally is the lines first, then the stenciling. And oops, and that, whoops, that's not dry yet. Okay. So I'm just going to make this one come out from here. And wipe the excess off on the paper towel. Come out from here. And then another one here. Not reloading the brush. Now you know what you could also do too is if you want to layer colors, so you can make the back leaf in the gray and the front leaf in the blue. So if I just give you no, I've already done 2 stencils on each, so oh well, you'll have to try it on your own. But you know what, this little pineapple would have been really cute here. That would have been really, really cute there. I'll have to try that next time. Okay. Alright, so now it's a matter of placement now where I'm going to put these lines. So the lines I'm going to work in just with the Vintage Effect wash white and gray, and I'm just going to, where's that tool? And I'm just going to put in those lines. And yeah, I should have done those first. And I can do this while the paint is wet on the outside because I'm not going to touch it. Gray, not black. I want it just a speck. Oh, there's a piece of sand there. Okay, I have to fix that. Mind you, it does look like a knot in the wood. Hey, what would happen? Let me try something. What would happen if I mixed this paint? I get a light gray. That's too dark. That's too dark. That's too dark. What would happen if I mixed this paint and then dragged to create the effect of grain in the wood? I don't want it to be too dark though. That's pretty good right here. I need to change the name of my art channel to What If, because I'm always doing experiments and I am totally fine with that. Okay, not totally in love with the brush. This is my favorite brushes. I could use these edges here. Doesn't go very far, but it does work. Yeah, it does work. Start at the edge and go up. I may not even need to do the lines the way I wanted to. I was going to just do this. And go into a little bit of the dark, just in some spots. Okay, I'm going to break that up. I don't like how solid that is. I want it broken. There we go. Okay, yeah, so lines first, then stencil. And then, although I'm cutting this, I'm going to put some lines here because then I can always use it for another project because I'm going to cut this off. Alternating between light and dark. There we go. Okay, that's not too bad. Now, the other way is if you were working on a piece that you only had like this one piece, you could come back in now and re-stencil on top of this with a darker color of paint. So the paint will be on top, your stencil will be on top of those lines. You could do that. So let me put that stencil brush in the water. Let me put that in the water. Okay, I have to let this dry inside here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of the this mixture here and just going to drag it a little bit. Now mind you, again, we're not using this part, we're only using this part here, but just to see what it looks like dragging the white over this dark gray sand area. Okay, so oh, I guess I should bring some of the white out. So I'm going to put a little bit of just a speck of the Vintage Effect white, and I loaded a tiny little stencil brush because the bristles are really long. And just to see here, yeah, it doesn't make much of an effect. You have to really load it, so don't even wipe it off. Yeah, it doesn't cover much unless you load it heavy. Yeah, that's actually all right. It makes it a little bit softer. What about to cover some of these lines to make them even softer? Okay, so over the plain paper, it doesn't grab, but where the sand is, it grabs really well. And I used a small brush because I didn't want to cover up too much of an area all at once. Yeah, that works well. So now that I know what I can do with it, I can go to a bigger brush. You could even use gesso for this part because it is soft. I can come in now just with the Vintage Effect white and just go right back over everything here. Let's see if I go over the leaves, what happens. Just to show you the transparency. There's too much here. I don't know if I'm going to be leaving that in. I just want to knock that back a bit. All right, so it looks different when you're using a bristle brush versus a synthetic brush. All right, so there's another experiment. And then taking the Vintage Effect, the white, with a synthetic brush and just painting right over, everything. Again, we're not keeping this part, it's just this part here, but it's just to show you what it looks like. It doesn't go as far. And I think if you wanted to make this more opaque, add in a touch of the Fluid Acrylics Titanium White. And I wouldn't use the Traditions because that's too thick. You'll lose the fluidity, but you could use the Media Fluid Acrylics. But in saying that, so now I want to go over this part, so I'm going to add a couple of drops in there, mix that up, or even the gesso would have worked just fine. See how much more opaque that is? See? So now the leaves just look like they're just settling in the background. Again, this is completely up to you how you want to do this. I'm just showing you a bunch of different ways of how you can approach it. All right, so I'm going to dry this, and then we're going to collage that, cut it down, and then varnish it. All right, so let's get rid of any dust on there. So I'm just going to matte medium on there. So matte medium on the paper first. Make sure everything's dry. And now I'm using the 1-inch angle American Decor brush. This is a nice one too. They're soft. And then I'm going to apply the matte medium to the glass. I don't know if you guys remember a project that I did called Vino, and I painted a wine glass. It was crooked and it looked like I had been drinking. Alright, that's that there. And like this one, it is crooked as well. Uh-oh. Let's straighten you out a bit. You almost need a level. There we go. And I'm going to apply another layer, pressing a little bit harder to make sure I get rid of all the air bubbles. And there we are. And then while I'm here, just put matte medium everywhere else, just so the finish is consistent. Because when you put the matte medium on here, I mean, if it's going to be in a non-humid area or even in a journal, it's fine. I'm still going to varnish it. I'm obsessed with the American Decor Ultra Matte varnish, especially for journaling. Obsessed with it. All right. So this will not take long to dry at all. Okay, so let's take a look. Yep. And then once this is done, I'm going to make some marks of it to fit into my kitchen book, my food book, and then I'll varnish just outside that line. There's no point in wasting varnish on everything else. And then I can just do a temporary stitch just to hold the pieces in. And all some of these are is just sewed to the actual binding that's already there. It's already sewed to the pieces. Like this one here is a canvas, and I just punctured a hole and then wrapped it around the binding that's there and put that there. That's an oil painting. That's an oil painting as well. That's an oil painting. That's a watercolor. So these are on the actual book, but the other pieces, that's canvas paper. You just put it in. So nothing, you don't have to worry. That's Terra. Oh, I have to put that one in. That's Terra Skin. I haven't put that in yet. All right, so I'm going to come back when this is dried, going to make my marks, varnish it, cut it, and then put it in. And of course, you know that I'm going to change my mind and do something else, right? I'm going to take some DecoArt Americana Bahama Blue, and I'm going to re-stencil some parts. And I already made my marks, so I don't like that. So basically, I'm going to make the stencil part brighter, so this will be set back. But again, it's going to be really, really light. Really, really light. Get rid of almost everything. That's actually not bad. And if I wanted to make this a little bit more opaque, I could just throw in a little bit more, let's say, of the cobalt teal hue, or add a little bit of white to it. Or even, I don't like using it, but even black to make it a little bit darker, but it would really dull down. So if you've got the patience, because you can't use a heat gun for this, is that you let it dry and then stencil again. See how much nicer it is being bright? So I can turn around And now in this corner, I'm eyeballing right in front of me. I've got all this beautiful new product I have to try. The DecoArt American Enchanted, the holographic illusions, and the Galaxy glitter. And I'm looking at this in this green, and oh, but it would take away from the piece. I would love to try it. I think I enjoy trying new products more than creating art itself, because it's all about the experimenting. Yeah. One of the pieces that I wanted to try doing is I want to create a geode. I have some broken rock. Let's see if I can create a faux geode. This one's just going to be a little one. Yep. Okay, where's the other stencil? And I think I want to overlap the little one right there. Be careful with this one, because this one's a delicate stencil. Could even use a cosmetic sponge for this. I want to put a little bit more in there to make it more opaque, because the one that's underneath is making it look funny. And I need to break up. Let's just add a little bit of a, whoops, ding dong. Just a little shimmer, or even a little hint, something there. I need to balance out, so I need to balance that out there as well. Which one do I want to use? I like these. The palm leaf, these I'm not a fan of. I really like these. I'm going to turn it upside down though. Let's just face that this way. And yes, green would have been better, but I don't have green. I want to match the colors that were in the collage. I've seen pieces like this where the actual, all the leaves are actually gold. And you can do that as well. Just breaking up some of that contrast. There we go. There we are. So it'll just take a couple of seconds to dry, and put that in the water. Now I'm going to be using the Duraclear Ultra Matte. Now this DecoArt product is a polyurethane varnish, and it comes in, let's see, Ultra Matte, Matte, Soft Touch, Satin, Gloss, High Gloss. Yeah, all different finishes, but it's indoor outdoor, which is why I'm now using this stuff now. The other stuff is fine, like let's say the Traditions and all that, but that's all indoor, unless DecoArt has come out with a new line for that, which I don't know about. But ideally you want to, I'd rather it be indoor outdoor than just indoor varnish, and then I want to use it in a high humidity area. And although I really wouldn't use this in a high humidity area, I'm putting it in a journal, and this ultra matte varnish, the pages don't stick together. And that's a problem, I'm sure you know, if you've done a lot of mixed media in journals, your pages stick together. Alright, so I'm just checking to make sure I've varnished past the line. Good, 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 good. Alright, I'm going to wait for that to dry. I'm going to cut it, and then I'll put it in my journal. Alright, Mia's finally leaving the room. Alright, so I punched and I put some eyelets in there, and I just used this, what's it called? The We Are Memory Keepers thingamabobby, and I just used tiny little eyelets. And I still have some of the sand here. Most of it disappeared, unfortunately. I know when I come back to do the actual piece that I need to be more careful. Mark out the border first, then do it. I ended up wasting a lot of product. What I want to do is I want to work the edges, and I put the Vintage Effect wash, the gray and the black separate, and then I mix a little bit in the middle, and just to finish the edge, just put a little bit of a color there, or well, it's not color black. Black is not a color, but broken color. I like the gray. I really like the gray. And I can even come back and stencil some more on that if I wanted to. Whoa, almost dropped that. If I wanted to. So I like the lines. Now again, this has been varnished already, but I now know what I can, you know, do to change some of this up, you know, contain this a little bit better. So that's fine. So my bookbinding supplies are up on a top shelf, and I have to move a bunch of stuff. So I'm going to use this paper cording that my friend Cheryl sent me, and I'm just going to tie it. Let me just do one first to see how long of a piece I need. It's been a long time since I've done any bookbinding. Again, it's nothing fancy. It's nothing fancy. Alright, so just need 3 pieces. You can use wire, you can use thread. Doesn't matter. See my high-tech measuring tool? Please don't ask me where she got this. I have no idea. If Cheryl, if you're watching, maybe you can share where you got it. And I'll just cut it. And whatever you use, you can also put a little bit of a dab of glue or matte medium just to hold it in place. Where is that? I have to make a fish hook. There we go. And so Joe was saying he would like to have seen this piece with a, he wants me to make a Bahama Mama, take a picture of that, and then put that in here instead of using an illustration. That's fine. I can try doing that. Bahama Mama is like, there's a lot involved. That was my very first Caribbean drink, authentic Caribbean drink that I had. It was really good. Can't drink that anymore the way it is because of the sugar, but the people at the resort, they were really great. Went beyond to make me a Caribbean drink that was low in sugar. They were really good about it. All right, that's it. There you go. All right, so what I forgot to show you before was the actual how matte the finish is, and you can really see it here. So this is just a regular matte finish on here. I have no idea what this is because I did this such a long time ago, but look at the difference when I do the the tilting. Actually, I don't even know the varnish on it. This may be just paint. This may be just paint, but look how flat that is. But with a lot of the matte varnishes, it gets the finish is cloudy. This dries crystal clear, and it's so beautiful. It is matte, but it doesn't take away any of the color. So that's why I'm addicted to it. Not addicted to it, I'm obsessed. Obsessed. So I'm just going to use my sponge just to see if I can grab some of the sand. There we go. So I hope that you enjoyed this, and let me know if you've ever done stuff like this where you've created a simulation, like a wood simulation in the back, and collage something in full color in the front, and you know, some ideas of what you've made or how you would have done things differently, or just some ideas for some other projects you'd like me to try, or art experiments. If I have the supplies, I will try the experiment, no questions asked. All right, so anyways, I will leave you. I'm going to clean up and going to take the rest of the afternoon off because it's 38 degrees outside and it's really hot and the air conditioner can't keep up. So I'm going in the other room. All right, so until I see you in the next video, stay inspired.